Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Let's talk about why job hoppers set themselves up for failure. So a lot of you guys, you new subscribers here from my previous video, one of my previous videos, people who complain about low paying jobs. So I'm gonna kind of piggyback off that video a little bit here. I know I did not mention a couple things I wanted to mention. So I'm gonna make a separate video. This video is not gonna be as long, but we're gonna talk about the individual. So I know I talked a lot about like the corporation and how I think we all generally agree. And guys, you guys who commented saying that the corporation set you up for set up the minimum wage so that you don't have enough money, and guys, that is true. I'm not here to deny that. I don't want to make it seem like I'm bashing the worker in the sense where they're wrong in their way of saying that the corporation and why work harder for people who don't care about you. I see that part of it, right? But I'm gonna piggyback off that, right? Because I think a lot of people job hop in the sense that they never end up actually getting out of the minimum wage cycle. Because working minimum wage is a lifestyle, right? For a lot of people who quit jobs or go to this job, they're just changing different restaurant chains, or they're changing different warehouse companies, right? But it's all the same. It's all in the same category. It all falls under the same category. You have supervisors, you have superiors above you, right? Who set up the pay structure to where you basically earn nothing, right? So you can't afford your rent, you can't afford your bills, you can't afford to feed your family, right? So I did talk a little bit about that, but let's piggyback a little bit, and let's talk about something I didn't mention. So I did not mention the fact that a lot of people who job hop, because I've worked with people who job hop and I hear where they went to next, right? So I've had people who like work in my gas station who quit, but they're the same position at another gas station company, or they're at a grocery store and they just go work for another grocery store. They go work for a warehouse, and let's say they do get paid an extra $2, $3, $4, right? So let's say, for example, they were making 15, now they go for 19. Okay, that's a step up, right? So that's good in a sense, right? If you're really working hard, right, and you're doing the best you can, and you end up finding a job where you get paid a few extra bucks, that's a win, right? So I'm not talking about the sense of where you job hop in the sense where you're looking for something better. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. I'm not saying you shouldn't look for something better if you're a performing individual. But what I am saying is that in my experience, in my view of how these people work in these types of jobs, a lot of them just go to the next job hoping that things will be better without resolving the inner issue. Because like I said, I know that these structures are set us up to barely have anything, to barely have enough for savings, to barely have enough for whatever else we need to survive. But at the same time, right, a lot of these people who go job hop, let's say they've worked 3 jobs in the past year, right, and they're constantly just on this job hopping cycle. I look at these people and I'm like, yo, you haven't really changed your life. Like when I think of, I'm gonna give you my view on this, and it's just my opinion, but when I view changing a job or changing a vocation or changing something that you want that's different, it implies a change in yourself, right? Because at the same time, I've always thought, there's been times where I've thought about leaving my current location, my current job, but I always ask myself, like, before I ever like pull the trigger, if I do end up pulling the trigger and I just want to leave, just because whatever, I want to try something new, or I want to go full time into this, whatever. I always ask myself, like, am I doing the best I can? Am I doing the best I can do? So I'm in a management role, right? So I deal with people. Am I being the best communicator? Am I delegating properly? Am I doing the job? Am I being an effective leader? Am I leading by example, right? And also, am I going the extra mile, right? And a lot of people, when you hear me talk about going the extra mile and doing all that I can, I'll hear an objection. Well, oh no, you're going the extra mile. You're doing all this for people who don't care about you, who just make profit off you and this and that. And that's true. I'm not saying you're wrong, but at the same time, what's the solution, right? Because we can complain about it, but at the end of the day, right, you're still the same. You're still making the same amount of money. You're still struggling to pay your rent. You're still struggling to pay your bills. You're still struggling with everything else that you complain about when it comes to money. So we have to ask ourselves, what's the solution, right? Because we can keep job hopping and switching jobs and hoping for something better, hoping the grass is greener on the other side, and everything that comes with that, right? Everything that comes with a potential new job prospect. But at the same time, right, if we haven't changed it's not the job, because most people leave jobs and they're not performing, and I've seen it, right? Most people who leave jobs, there's very few of them that actually leave on a note where it's like, okay, this person was a good performer. They just found something that they're more passionate about, or they feel like they can really go the distance in, right? But most people who leave are bullshitters, right? Like I said, I mentioned this in the other video, they take excessive bathroom breaks, they complain, they barely do anything in the 8 hours they're there, right? They sit around, they wallow, they have a pissy look on their face, they have a shitty attitude, right? And with that mentality, with that way of going about things, it doesn't matter that you keep looking for another job, because the root problem is you, right? And I know that sounds that sounds hard that's a hard concept for a lot of people to accept, because we love to blame the corporation, we love to blame the people above us. And like I said, I'm not saying you guys are wrong when you say that I agree, but at the same time, always ask yourself, what's the solution? Because we can sit here and say this is set up for you, the US dollar and corporations and right? The list goes on about how our fiat system is set up for us to fail and our corporations set us up to fail. But what is the solution? What is the solution? I don't care if you complain all day about it. What are you doing to get out of that situation into a better vocation, right? Because like I said, there's a lot of people who just are constantly, like I work with this one dude, right? He's a bullshitter, right? He's he's one of my shift managers. He's a bullshitter, right? We've watched cameras on him, and like I said, I'm not knocking him, but he's always talking about like how I'm applying over here, man. This is bullshit. This boss sucks. But it's like, bro, when I watch cameras, bro, you stepping outside every 10 minutes to sit down and make a phone call. So it's like, what sense does it do? Because here's the thing, guys, when you complain, I'm going to talk a little bit about complaining. Complaining is putting yourself out of the power position. You're putting yourself into a learned helplessness position, meaning you're taking your power away when you complain. Because when you complain, what you're doing is giving you're giving your subconscious mind a reason for why you're not where you want to be, a reason for why you can't do what you know you can do. You just don't want to do it because it's hard, or it's difficult, or it's, whatever else, whatever other reason you have for not doing the job, right? So job hopping is not going to solve the problem. Switching jobs, if you work for someplace for 4 years, 5 years, and you really feel like you've done all you can do, and you've really executed on every process, and you were an effective leader, and you didn't get what you want, okay, maybe it's time for something else. But a lot of people work jobs at a disposable rate. They'll work there for 3 to 6 months, maybe a year, right? I think most people only last it seems like most people only last a year, just in my experience, right? So we have that comes also with instant gratification. Like, people just want everything right up front, right? Without having to do anything. So at the end of the day, man, like, unless you plan on being like your business owner, right? You plan on being self-employed, you're gonna have people above you, and that's just it is what it is, man. You can complain about corporate structure, you can complain about pay all day, but at the end of the day, man, you're gonna have people above you, and at the end of the day, hey, you got food to pay for, you got rent to pay for, you got light bills, right? You got family, possibly, right? So you're sitting there complaining, but at the same time, you're also stressed out about your living standards. So again, I ask you, what is the solution? Only you have the solution, right? Because all of you guys are different. All of you guys have different talents. All of you guys have different given abilities. It's not up to me to figure that out for you. That's up to you to figure that out for yourself. But I will say this, if you are, if you are a hard worker, if you are dedicated, if you are consistent, if you show up and you truly believe that, you know, you just didn't get what you wanted, like I said, you can go ahead and look for something maybe better, right? And then, you know, maybe that job that you get will give you what you wanted that the prior job didn't give you. But I just noticed, man, in my experience, the vast majority of people who job hop, right, typically are the ones who just complain. And like I said, it's not the fact that they're wrong about it, right, about how the corporate structure is, but it's about the fact that the complaining and the victimizing yourself doesn't get you to where you want to be. So why complain about it? It's like it's like people who try to sit there and complain about everything, like corporate structures and this and that. Bro, you're not going to change the corporate structure by